Hello guys, this is Ali from Lunch with E-commerce Villa, and we are back again with another super exciting episode. And today we have a very special guest with us, Vincenzo or Vincenzo. I have to ask you again how to pronounce it accurately. And this guy is just a next level expert when it comes to Amazon launch and rank, and he's been fundamental to the success of so many brands he's working with. So, welcome, Vincenzo. How do I pronounce your name?
Yeah, you say it correctly, Vincenzo. Good job. Yeah, you say it correct, man. Yeah. So a lot of people
Oh,
struggle with that because some people, my name is usually said in different ways depending on the country. Like in the States, a lot of people call me Vinny or Vince. So it's fine, man. But Vincenzo, you nailed it. You did it good.
thank you so much. So, I'm gonna keep it simple for myself. I might be calling you Vince then.
Yeah, let's do it, man. That's fine.
Okay. So Vince, tell us your story. How did you start and what you are doing now?
Sure. So yeah, as you well say, my name is Vincenzo. I was born in Italy, in Naples specifically, and I usually, when I was around 4 or 5 years old, my family moved away for business, and in this case, to Venezuela in South America, when the good times of that country, and we moved there, and I lived there for around 15, 18 years. And then from there, what happened is, with everything that happened in the country in Venezuela, I decided to pursue my studies overseas. And then from there, I studied a couple of, months in the States. Then I jumped to Canada. And finally, I found my luck in the UK, where I did my degree and my master's in here. And actually, my background is completely different from e-commerce. I studied aerospace engineer. I used to work for Rolls-Royce, and basically, I was in charge of doing, the computer behind turbines in airplanes. And I was working there for, around 2 years. And for myself, I mean, I definitely enjoy everything around the technicality of engineering, but for me, I always have the need of having my own business, especially because my family is always around being having their own business. They are entrepreneurs, and I always wanted to have something on my own. And that's where I started, digging further in terms of having something on the side. And when I started doing my research, I encountered Amazon FBA almost over 5 years ago now. And then I started selling my products. I had my brand and everything. And from there, I started eventually making some good revenue compared to my salary as an engineer. And then I decided to, pursue my career 100% on just being a seller and having my business online. And from there, after going to conferences and connecting with people, and seeing that actually there was a need for actually people receiving support in terms of scaling their brand on Amazon and the daily operations, the management and strategy. That's where the idea of doing Ecomcy came to fruition. And now basically Ecomcy is 3 years old, and with this agency now we have had hundreds of brands, and here we basically specialize on everything that has to be done in order to make sure your brand succeeds on Amazon. So that's pretty much a summarized a bio of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great story. So, in e-commerce, are you specific with the launch and ranking phase, or you are like what services you are offering?
So yeah, at Ecomcy, to be honest, we work with clients so at different stages. So we have brands that basically are brand new, brands that are coming from pretty much other channels, such as having just their own website, or brands that are coming from Kickstarter and they need a strategy to launch on Amazon, and we work with them. At the same time, we're also working with seven figures and up brands that they already been selling on Amazon for a while, but they're struggling to, making sure they can, keep everything optimized in terms of their PPC, managing their account, and so on. So our team is very well experienced on those both spectrums of the thing. So that's why we definitely see things on both sides. We see everything in terms of launching new products to market, and also on the side of just maintaining a products that been in the market for a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, what are the how are you ranking the products nowadays? These are only PPC focused techniques, or you are using external traffic as well?
Yeah, when it comes to ranking, I think the first question that we always need to ask ourselves is first define what is the budget behind that product, because I can sit here and tell you hundreds of strategies that we implement, but at the end of the day, this is gonna be very important and relevant just depending on your budget. Because if your budget, let's say, just 1,000 to launch a product. The strategy is completely different if you tell me you have 100,000 to launch a product. So that's the first thing. So once you define the budget, I would say if the budget is limited, and this is to make sure you have an spectrum of which strategy will work the best for you. If the budget is limited, I would say the best money in terms of return on your investment, it would be doing strategy within Amazon itself, will
Yeah,
be things around PPC, running discounts within Amazon, coupons, and all that. And I'm actually going to touch first on this strategy before jumping on the more high level strategy in terms of bigger budgets. So when you start with a limited budget, usually PPC is where we have seen the biggest return on an investment when the product is brand new. What has been working very well for us at the start of launching new products is first of all making sure we have an amazing listing and we have a team that of copywriters that make sure we have the right keywords, the title, the bullet points, everything that I'm pretty sure you already mentioned on your podcast, that strategies that have to be done in terms of having your listing fully optimized. One that is done in combination with having amazing images and video. We what we have been working a lot for us in PPC is running just exact match campaign, right? And what we do
okay,
at the very beginning, I know a lot of people say at the beginning run phrase, broad, automatic, product targeting, and so on. But actually, what we have found is that initially, because your product has no history at all, I mean, Amazon doesn't have a clue about what your product is. You haven't given the time to Amazon to actually correlate your product with specific keywords. You're gonna find yourself that most likely once you if you also start with automatic broad and phrase, you're giving open window to Amazon to
yeah,
showcase you to random keywords and hundreds of keywords that most of the time are not going to be profitable for you, and this can actually confuse what we call the history and the relevancy of your product to specific keywords. So in order to combat that, usually the first 2 weeks to 1 month, we go very aggressive with our top 10 keywords, try to be a exact match on those keywords. And if the budget allows, we actually try to go for top placement on those keywords. Now, just to make a pause here, and then for sure I'm gonna let you talk because maybe you have a question on this. Is you may ask yourself, okay, if I do that first, most likely my conversions are gonna be very bad and I'm gonna burn a lot of money. But the solution around that is that we know that in the past the way around launching products on Amazon, the solution was doing rebates, which is not allowed anymore. So what we are
yeah,
actually doing now is that when we run these exact match campaigns, we run it with a very aggressive coupon. Sometimes we're talking 40, 50%. And this basically overcomes the barrier of somebody thinking, you know what, this product doesn't have reviews. I don't trust it. Because if somebody sees a 40, 50% coupon, I mean, it's a no-brainer for most people to actually
yeah,
click yours if you're a top placement, right? And you can do this with coupons, you can do that with the sell price, and then this is going to allow you to basically overcome that friction at the beginning of not having no reviews. So I'm going to
yeah.
do a pause in case here you want to add something.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Just you touched on the budget point. Sometimes there are sellers who can afford to invest more.
Mhm.
And we see that PPC is definitely still a way to go to rank the products, but it's getting competitive with every day.
Mhm.
It's almost every seller is either going to run PPC by himself or he's gonna get somebody who will be managing their PPC, and that's where you have to think out of the box, and that's where people have started focusing on external traffic as well. So touch on that point as well. Have you been using any maybe social media ads or influencer marketing, and how was your experience with that?
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, just to conclude on the PPC side of things, for sure, I think it needs to be part of your launch strategy. I mean, don't think that you can replace it with something else. PPC always must be there.
Exactly.
Just coming back to your point, Mohammed, I think is always going to be important and dependent on your budget. If the budget is small, your PPC strategy are going to be limited. You cannot test many type of placement and so on. But if your budget is high, for sure, you can expand the strategy by adding also video campaigns, pro targeting. You can even start digging if your brand is strong enough in terms of relevancy, sponsor brands, and sponsor display, which is something we can for sure touch on our day. Now, coming back to influencers, yeah, influencers for now, the brands that have a bigger budget, we actually use this strongly as part of our product launch. So if a brand has budget to dedicate also on things outside of Amazon, what is been working very well for us is basically finding influencers for the brands that basically have a strong audience on that specific niche. And I know people talk a lot about TikTok, Instagram, and so on, but actually, one channel that has been working very efficiently for us is that we have a system and a network where we can actually match you with influencers in YouTube. And these are YouTubers that they already are Amazon affiliates. And usually the type of videos that they do is like blogs. Maybe let's say you're selling fishing gear, right? These guys are people that do blogs going out on fishing, or they compare the top 10 fishing accessories for your trip. And then what we try to do is get into a partnership with them so they can feature your product and mention to the audience. And sometimes this community, they don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers. We're talking influencers that have maybe 50K followers, 80K followers, but because the audience is very strong, like they are very strong community and they trust each other. If their influencer is telling them this is the best accessory for your fishing gear, they're gonna trust it. And what we do is basically we ask him to put or link into the description, and because they are affiliate, they're gonna get a percentage on basically the affiliate commission as part of the program from Amazon. And then to incentivize them to actually keep pushing a product, sometimes we tell them that we double whatever Amazon is paying them, or sometimes we even give them a bonus based on extra performance. And that for us has been working amazing, because we have discovered that for most products, a lot of the behavior we have seen in the market is that people go to YouTube and say, "What are the top 10 phone cases? Reviews of the best monitors for gaming, or blah blah blah." And YouTube is definitely a channel for that, and created an interaction that's very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So like you touched on the point, and you what did you say? Like, is it a community where you start approaching them? How do you exactly find the influencers?
Yeah, so basically you have two ways of doing this. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one will be creating your own systems in-house, which is basically what we have done. And basically we have people that will find these influencers. The way you will go about finding these influencers, right? You will go to YouTube, right? And
Okay.
let's say you wanna do the example of fishing gear, right? And you will put top 10 fishing rod, right? And
Yeah.
then you put Amazon, right? And then this what is gonna do is most likely is gonna bring titles on Amazon of people doing reviews of products on Amazon, right? And then with these profiles, we have a system in place where you could easily go to the profiles of these brands on YouTube. And once you click on a channel on YouTube, if you go all the way at the tab where it says about, actually all channels in YouTube need to share their business email, right? And you're
Yeah.
gonna find their email into their YouTube channel, and you will reach out to them. Now, the downside of this is very time consuming. It's gonna take you time, like you need volume, and that's why for most people, some people, it's not gonna make sense to really do this, and it's going to be costly to have somebody in place to actually find these influencers. But the good side is that there are actually software solutions for that, and one of them that we use a lot is the following. So one that we use is Referson. So Referson is a platform where you can find influencers for Amazon. And basically this allows you to connect with these influencers, like, and they can help you do, like, you know featuring your product in social media, in YouTube, and so on. And you basically pay the rate of the influencer, and they do all the work for you in terms of finding the influencer. So that is usually the two options we put in the table. I will say, depending on your situation, if you have more budget, I would ideally build this in house, because then you control the communication with influencers and everything. Where with software, most of the time it just like there is a roadblock, so you know who is an influencer, but you can't really communicate with them, and it's difficult to build a long-term relationship with influencers. So it depends on what you want to achieve in the long term. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And can you give us some rough idea that how much does it cost? Actually, let's say it's an influencer which has and he has maybe 50,000 followers. How do they normally charge? Is there can you give us some rough idea so that people so that brands know that what they might have to spend if they want to utilize influence marketing?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So the good news is sometimes it could be free. You will be surprised. I mean, sometimes my team, when we already have this network of influencers and we reach out to feature a product, sometimes the product is so good that just the fact of them having the product for free and being able to get commissions out of the sales, they don't ask nothing in exchange. But again, this is not gonna be most of the cases. Just to give you a real scenario in terms of budgets, you are looking usually be starting around the $50 to $100 mark. To feature your product all the way to the thousands. I would say if I need to put an exact average, it's usually going to land between the $100 and $300. Yeah,
Yeah, this is how much one influencer is gonna cost, right?
yeah,
100,
that's right.
100, 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And yeah, I think this is important. It has become. I mean, like, are you only using YouTuber influencers, or you also are utilizing influencers from other social media channels?
So actually, we started now doing something. This is mainly for brands in the US, but I'm gonna mention in case somebody wanna take advantage of this. We're doing a lot of Amazon lives lately,
Yeah,
which basically is influencers that they go live on the Amazon platform. If you go to amazon.com/live, you're gonna see the Amazon Live platform. It's like a YouTube, and people feature the product, talk about the features and so on. And what we have done, actually, we have designed our own tool, and feel free to find. I'm gonna make sure to give you the link. It's called MZ Ambassador, and here what we have done with our own network, because we built a network around this. What we do with all the brands is we have this an assistant that on a weekly basis, our brands go live with these influencers. So they feature the product, they talk about the benefits, and in the live,
yeah,
we provide them with coupons so they can go to a listing. And this, if you're in the US, is definitely a game changer, because these videos, by the way, then are saved in your product listing. So that means now you're going to have extra videos at the bottom of your product listing of past live streams of influencer, and this adds validity and content to help you with conversions on your product listing.
yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Awesome. So
Yeah.
let's touch a bit on PPC part as well. We're gonna come to the part that we can touch on the point that how should be the campaign structure at the time of launch. But let's say there's a product which is not working, it's not converting, and now people want to liquidate the inventory. So how do you manage the PPC for those products? Is it like making multiple campaigns with very low bids, or how does that look like?
Yeah, so if we want to liquidate our inventory as efficiently as possible,
Yeah.
we'll definitely will change completely the strategy, because now it's all a matter of getting rid of the product in this less expensive way. So the first thing that we will do is go back on our history up to 12 months if we have the reports, find which are the keywords that are the cheapest in terms of CPCs and in terms of the highest conversion. We will create single keyword campaign for those keywords, and we will have low bids. So for example, if the typical bid for that keyword was $1, we will try to start at 50 cents, 60 cents, and try to see if we can start getting some activity around those bids, because sometimes if you do that, you completely lose all the impressions and clicks. But it's a matter of testing. So we tested, and then on top of that, while running this campaign that we target the keywords that we know for sure work for us, we'll do the same with product targeting. We identify competitors that we might definitely steal their sales very cheap, because let's say your products usually was selling at $50 and your competitors are all selling the $50-$60 range. When you start liquidation, most likely you're going to drop to $30,
Yeah.
right? And if you target those competitors that the only reason why they were winning is because price was very similar to you, and maybe they have more reviews and everything. Now that you enter the market with 30 reviews and you do pro targeting on them, you're gonna steal a lot of sales, especially when you're showing a big red banner that you're minus 20-30% using the sell price feature. So we do that. And finally, it's also a matter of playing a same strategy when you do with launching, but in this case, you will do it for the purpose of liquidating, which is using big coupons, or ideally, if you can, so you can save even more money instead of using coupons. I will use the sell price, because if you have been selling for $50 for a while now
Yeah.
and you enter liquidation mode and you lower to 30, you're gonna have a big red banner saying minus 30, minus
Yeah.
40%, and that you don't need to pay the 60 cents on each coupon, and then that's extra money for you as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, so correct. So there were so many other questions as well, but I have to keep this podcast short. So just one more question, and then we'll sum it up. I mean, this is important, and the question that I'm asking, because I'm seeing this question a lot in the social media and the Facebook groups. These are people concerns. So these questions are very important. When do you decide that this, like, we know that if we are launching 10 products on Amazon, not every product is going to be
Yeah,
successful and profitable.
for
It's
sure.
obvious. There'll be few winners and there'll be other losers as well.
For sure.
So when do
Hmm.
you decide? Yeah. So when do you decide that this is the time when you are not gonna invest more in a particular product? Are there any metrics? So do you look at, like, do you look at the conversion rate, or what is it that you see before thinking that now we have to stop investing so much on this product?
Sure. So I think the first thing that we need to understand about the product when it's unprofitable is how this impacts your brand. And I'm gonna explain you what I mean by this. If you are selling a brand that has multiple
Yeah.
type of accessories, let's say you're selling just to make the exercise easy. Let's say you're selling makeup, right? And
Okay.
this makeup opens the door for this client to then discover your shampoo, your makeup accessories, and so on. It could be that the makeup in the first view is unprofitable, right? But if we then try to map up, and you can do this with brand analytics and different reporting, you can try to map up if this actually is unprofitable on the front end, but then this actually then bring you organic sales, which is going to give you a good tacos in the long term. We might decide that actually, even if the product in the eyes of just seeing the product itself is unprofitable, in the big picture of the brand is still profitable. And you need to consider that if that brings you a lot of sales, and you consider that, let's say the product brings you 1,000 sales per month, right? Even if those are unprofitable, you need to understand that those could be 1,000 new customers that now they discover your brand, and they will buy your brand products, the or accessories organically, without you having to pay anything in PPC. That means it's going to drive your tacos lower, and that
Yeah.
initial expense is going to transform into the life value of the client, which is going to be profitable for you. So you first need to do that, because if you just see the product individually and you think it's unprofitable, you might not understand that even if it's unprofitable, it's actually a magnet to your brand. A lot of brands do that. I mean, a lot of brands, big brands out there, they have products that they lose money 100% all the time, but they know it's a magnet to introduce the client to the ecosystem of the brand itself, to basically bring them in as a lead, right? That's the number one thing. So now going back to a scenario that it just a couple of products is not a brand, right? Let's say you
Mhm.
want to really understand if you need to kill it or not, this product. Number one thing I will first analyze is how the market is behaving. I want to see how my competitors are doing. I want to see if my competitor revenue is going up or is going down. I want to see those trends. If I see the trends of revenue is constantly going down and down, that means the market is shrinking or more competitors are entering the market. That means more difficult for me in the long term to regain my position and increase my revenue. Second, I want to see the trend of search volume on that market. If I see the search volume is constantly going negative month after month, it may mean for you that the interest around these keywords and the niche itself is decreasing. And if that's the case, that means we need to take a solution in terms of design. Okay, you know what? The search volume is going down and down. That means we have less opportunity to capture more clients and scale this product in the future. And the last part, it will be pricing. So just to keep it simple, very easy, you could definitely do some kind of market analysis for the last 6 months or so, see how the pricing of your competitors is being kept in terms of consistency. If you see prices going down and down and down, it most likely is a niche that is usually a race to the bottom, and that might mean you're going to struggle to scale in the long term. So these are the three principal things. And if these three are red, most likely the product is not going to have a future. I will say if you still are unsure after doing these three analysis, you can go much more in depth. But just to make it briefly for this episode, what you also could do is go to your Amazon account, right? You could use software solutions for this. I will advise to do that instead of using Amazon reports, because Amazon reports are difficult to really understand your profitability. So there are amazing tools out there, such as, for example, Helium 10. You can plug your account, they can give you the profitability of a product. Understand the fees, understand if the fees make sense for you, and try to correlate that with everything I just mentioned, and see if it makes sense for you to keep it.
Yeah, great, great. So, thank you so much for coming. And, I hope, I would definitely call you again for another episode because there are still so many things that we haven't touched on. But, we will surely touch on those things again. So, if anybody wants to contact you, how can they reach you out?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for all the content you're putting out there. The more things we put out there, the more chance we give sellers to succeed. So thank you for that. Second of all, yes, you can find me by going to our website, basically www at ecomcy.com, as you can see in the screen next to my name. And then in there, we basically offer a 30-minute free consultation to anybody where my team and myself are going to jump on a call, explore your needs, and potentially see if we can add value to your business. So that would be everything from my side. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, man. Have a nice one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.